Or just watch your time.
Welcome. Hello. You've got Liz and Elektra for Create a World today. And Liz, why don't you tell us about why this whole thing started?
Sure. So there are a group of collaborators, many of whom you've seen on YouTube, and it's been about 3 years now since a group of us got together and started having conversations about what's rising uh, in our own corners of the planet. And we realized that being in conversation together was really, really powerful. And so through the field of Tantra Mat, we decided to gather every Friday on YouTube and have conversations. And we're finding that it's being in these conversations with each other is really, they seem to be really serving others and helping us navigate the times that we're in right now. And our conversations are based in some principles. And the principle that is my most favorite, that we're actually going to talk a little bit about today, is that everything has a place. But some of the other principles of the field of Tantra Mat are that everything is part of everything else, and everything operates on behalf of everything else. Everything is in relationship with everything else, and everything is always moving to the next greater whole, is what we say. So, based on that, we're going to have Electra start because she has some really interesting information about the seven planets. However, just to say what we're talking about today is that we're allowing and opening up uh, into new realities. So, over to
That's
you,
exciting,
Electra.
isn't it? I think we're all kind of buzzing with that in our everyday life. But I wanted to make sure that you knew this happens to be February 28th. And there are seven planets: Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, Venus, Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars that are aligning today in a cosmic and energetic event that will not occur again for nearly 500 years. It's a unique portal of transformation, an unrepeatable opportunity to receive and anchor the codes of new humanity in the collective consciousness. Isn't that exciting? So, if you're familiar with quantum bioengineering, on their website, there's a recording of the meditation, and you can access that. Or what I did this morning was just sit and say, I am in the energies of the seven planets aligning. So any kind of meditation you do today is like supercharged. Liz did that, right? You did that this morning, huh? And and it was a meditation that wasn't like aimed at the planets. So any type of work we do today is going to be supercharged. Anyway, we came up with the idea of what is allowing and opening up to. So first of all, what is aligning, allowing? Well, one of the things I think that us humans do is that we think we know how something's supposed to happen, right? So we say, no, no, this is how this is supposed to, whether it's an energetic thing that we're doing or whether it's just life. We kind of fight it when it doesn't happen the way we think it should happen. Well, the problem with that thinking is that it's historic thinking, and we're looking forward to the future now. And energies are coming in that are doing what they need to be doing. And they're not going to go, okay, Electra, okay, Liz, how do you want us to appear? Well, it doesn't happen that way, at least as far as I'm getting, is that if I just say to myself, this is, I'm here and I'm opening up to whatever is here that is life enhancing, life generating, that lives for the greater whole. I always use those kind of modifications, but allow that anything could happen. So, you know, And then I think we get treated to a real treat because energies arise, um, and that come in that I hadn't programmed in my head, right? The programming of my head is really not good. Well, it's just that it isn't useful. So if we allow that there are energies and forces coming in that we really don't have any control over, and we don't know why they're coming in or how they come in, then it kind of opens the door to, oh, okay. Then you kind of put your observer cap on. So you're observing what is occurring without the judgment of, well, that's not the way I thought it should be, right? Okay. Do you have anything else on allowing that you want to say?
Just that when we were talking earlier about this, a lot of what we're finding is happening that's rising in our individual fields is that, and I know we've talked about this on the channel before, but now it's got a different perspective that there are situations coming up in our fields that we thought as humans that we had transmuted and resolved and released, and now they're coming up again. And so, what happened in our conversations, we both realized that there's a new energetic twist to this that's really cool, actually. And so, we've been saying that when situations come up in our fields that we give them a place. So that's hence me talking about my favorite principle, right? That we give them a place. Yet this time, we already have given a lot of these situations a place. So why again is this coming up? Or it's not exactly the same situation, but it has the same energetic spin on it. And so, Electra, you came up with um, a statement about that, right? That it was really, really cool. So tell us a little bit about it. It has to do with alchemy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're talking about in the field of Tantra Mod is access and ritual and building, right? And so ritual has alchemical elements to it. So a lot of times when you're doing ritual, whether you're standing on your pillowcase or you're using any other kind of ritual that you use to go deeper, there's alchemical elements in it that we are mostly not aware of. Usually we do ritual in a certain way because it's already been designed as an alchemical access tool. So I was noticing that a lot of us are getting, as Liz said, old crap come up that we said, I've handled this, or I don't want to deal with this again. So I have friends who've just gotten angry, right? Or really sad because it pulled it all back into something that they didn't like or was a hard experience. And I thought, okay, they're not rising for just any reason. Why would all of us be getting these historic memories? The other day, I remembered an event from my son when he was 5. And I'm going like, okay, why am I getting this? So I thought, okay, there's a reason for it. It doesn't mean that that event is still active and getting in your way. It may mean that the alchemical elements of that event simply need to be included in the future. Doesn't mean the event is, it means the alchemical elements. So why did I have this remembrance of my son at 5 and something that happened? I thought, okay, so I gave it a place. So I put it there and I say, okay, I'm on what I even call a tractor beam to the future. Just like, in Star Wars, where they lock onto the spaceship and they push, pull them into the main station. So I'm saying, okay, I'm aligned with my tractor beam to the future of unity that I want, of paradise. And so I say, well, why? Show me what's going on here. And I see this little light come up and join the tractor beam. So wherever I had given a place to that event, there wasn't, not the whole thing went, but there were elements of it that went. And it wasn't for me to, you know, our little human minds want to know what was it so I can go through everything and like pick out the event. No, a greater, a greater wisdom can look at things that have impacted us and say this elements from this, an alchemical element of this needs to be is part of the what you're using to create the future that you desire, paradise. And to be really honest, the charge of the original event went away. It was like, oh, I just came back here to give you that. That's it. And the rest, nope, close. So I created this image of a tractor beam that is keeping me on track. And I'm allowing, okay, it goes back to I cannot program this. I am not in control, but I have partners, etheric partners that are working with me, working with us to help us move towards paradise or that reality of unity that we want. Um, and we have some ideas about what that reality would be, but we don't know quite how to create it because we're really caught in in this physical reality that we're in. So anyway, that's my invitation to you is to consider that if something has revisited you from the past, it's not here to bug you and to tell you that you're not enough and you haven't solved it. It's probably here just to make those the etheric elements of that situation or event present in your field so they can enter into your creation of the future that you crave. And I think the most important thing is, as humans, we get very frustrated when something that we thought we'd taken care of rises again. And it's I know it might not sound right, but I don't think it's our business about why it rose again. It's simply to give it a place, know that everything's moving forward into the next recursion of wholeness of humanity, and say, I don't know why you're here, but I honor you, and give it a place. And so, like, say, this incident with my son may have been huge in my field when he was 5. But now it's just this little place over in the corner. And I said, I don't know why you're here. Incidentally, my son's 53 now, so it's a few years ago. And that's kind of, can you just let yourself be in your body and say, what does it mean to open up to? And what does it mean for you to give it a place? Not the 90% that it might have taken at one point, or the 75 or the 50, but just let it have a little corner over here because we don't know why it reappeared at this time. And I can only think it's because there's something in it that is needed. I don't have to deal with the event with my son again or other things that have happened. Not deal with like we have to handle emotionally, but more so that there's these relationships that we've called in our guides, we've called in creation and said, help us create this new future for humanity. And they say, okay, right?
Yep. And I can go to a situation that I've been dealing with a young person lately. So, and this is one um where I thought I had dealt with it, and then it came back. It's come back twice now. And so as you were speaking, Electra, I was seeing the same thing. I was seeing like there's this little trickle of energy coming down somewhere. And and so in my case, and in maybe those of you who pick up this video and listen to it, in your case, maybe it's something you are still transmuting or giving a place. But at the now for me, there's a both and in this situation, given that it's current. The situation is ongoing. And and so it's simmering in my field. It's simmering like it's, how you make a really good stew and you let it simmer and simmer and simmer, right? To integrate the flavors. Um, if I sit back, which I have been for about 3 or 4 days now, and just let the energetic do its thing, and the flavors of this alchemy simmer, um, and not worry about what ingredients are going into this particular piece of new reality that I'm helping to build, but just sit back and just let it simmer, then then I know I'm doing my part by not bothering it, you know, by
Oh, I like
by
that.
not
Not bothering
putting
it.
my
Yeah.
yeah, by letting it do what it needs to do. It's I was just given a kind of another gross visual, which is, as little kids and even as adults, we have a scab. It's been on our arm for a while or whatever, and then we and then we start picking at it, right? And then it bleeds again. So don't do that, is what I'm getting. Just put the Band-Aid on it. Let it heal. Let it be. So, I mean, I think these are good. These are good analogies for what this is. But I can really feel it, and a lot of it is also our. I've been hearing so much lately about our humanness, right? And the characteristics that we come in with, and the quote way that we are. We can't leave things alone. We want to control them. Um, and so this new alchemy to me is really a big lesson for all of us,
Yeah.
to really, if we can, and we're all in different places. That's the thing. If we can just sit back in a situation and do our inner work around it, like you said, you did the work around your son. I've done. I think I'm about 98% complete with my inner work around this situation, and this is really me in this situation, opening up my heart to really put my trust in a field working
Mhm.
on my behalf and on behalf of, okay, so on behalf of my own field, on behalf of the field of this young person that I'm working with, and then on the behalf of the field of an organization that we're sitting within, that this situation has to do with. So there's really a lot of if you think about it, energy being generated here that's good on behalf of life energy, uh,
But everything's in movement, right? Because I
in
keep
movement. Yeah.
seeing a matrix of the organization, you, this other person, and all the people involved with that. And if we allow that they're moving into that matrix, the points are shifting
Mhm.
so that what will serve everyone to the highest good can be set into place. And
Yeah.
there's things that we just don't understand, you
Hmm.
know. Like you don't know the dynamics the kid's working with, her family's working with, what other organizers in that group are working with. But if we allow it and saying, okay, I'm going to be present to what's and watch it. And then
Mhm.
you'll be given guidance on what to do, right? Do you think that's
Yep.
a okay.
Oh, definitely. And sitting back, I mean, there some things came into the field right away for assistance. And now it's oh, and then I heard just let it be. So everything will right itself. It's like I keep going back to this visual. God, I and I think I've said this even here before, but I was tutoring a seventh grader, and this was like 5 years ago now. And we had to watch a simulation, um, which was really cool about an ecosystem and how it shifted over time and always came back to 0 point, balance point. And I feel this here. However, with that little twist, right? Opening up into the fact that, okay, it comes to 0 point, but yet now, 5 years later, there are these new alchemical elements that we don't have to know what they are, being placed into that ecosystem. If you think about this is interesting. If you think about any situation that we as people generating life, generating new realities on the planet, there's those of us, you and I included, who are here to do that. That's our job. And so if you think about that from an ecological, we can make up a new word about relationological standpoint. um, it's fascinating, right? It does everything we are part of will come back to a balance point.
Yeah.
But now, as as generators of new realities, these we could say again, we were talking about this just recently here on this channel, we're seeding. Well, now these are becoming seedlings now.
Right. They're seeing.
Um, and that's fascinating. And we're seeing this, this new alchemy that's this new tractor beam that we're being guided towards. So it's kind of fascinating. So if we can see through that lens in our camera, then maybe it'll help us to be a little bit calmer on the other side of whatever the situation is, because we each have our own. We can pick a situation, right? Pick any situation in your life that you're being part of right now.
Yeah.
So,
It's and why is something rising? I think part of this is, Tantra's always told us how important observing is. And
mhm,
being the observer, and that's why we use observing and observing being, because they're powerful because they get us out of where we're stuck. Like if you've written a creation exercise and it describes this beautiful future or these aspects of something that you really value and you want one in the world. And then you write your observing and it takes you out of that and gives you that, okay, is this really occurring now? How is this? So when we're able to change perspective, and even Newfield talks about this, that if you
mhm,
change your observer perspective, you can see everything differently. Um, and sometimes that's really hard when we are hurt or angry about something. And we go, no, this is my righteous. Sometimes it's a very righteous, nah, you can't do that. You don't have the right. And that that anger, that sense of righteousness, that criticalness, that hurtness, whatever is in us needs to be observed from another perspective, just so that we don't get caught into the looping of it, that we don't caught in this is the only thing where the world is. And that, for me, the observing has moved me out of, I don't think this is what should be included in my world right now. If it's a memory of something, or if it's a present day in pain moment, whether the moment is physical or mental, emotional. I was listening to a story last night on PBS, and it had these experts on about wellness. And what they said is that the body and emotions are one and the same, that they'll impact each other. If you stay in an emotional state, it can have a negative emotional state and have a impact on your body. And I thought, well, one, I think it's amazing that people in what I call the regular world, you can call it a muggle world too if you like Harry Potter, are recognizing that we are mind, body, spirit. And in our world, in the work we've been doing in the field of Tantra, it really is. We have stepped out of the turmoil and being caught in to say, this is what here the observing can say, yeah, I'm still caught in it. I love that my craving said heaven and I'm caught in purgatory. But by stepping out of that, I realize it's just the distance. If I write in observing, right, it's just the difference between my observing. If I sit in this situation and say, okay, the situation that I'm in or I was in, I'm giving it a place. I know that everything is evolving, coming into the next recursion. And then I go, okay, it's not for me to know how that dynamic works, but it is for me to keep on my tractor beam for what I want. It's a little bit like surrender. I don't know if have you ever had the opportunity? I've had the opportunity to truly
Mhm.
surrender. Have you?
Yes, several times. Yeah, several times.
And when one surrenders, it really is, I think, okay, it's like, I know I can't control this. So I am going to know that the greater, there is something that's greater than me that's going to hold this and make it whole again. Is there a language you would use around surrender?
Um, no, it's similar for me. The words that come to me are dropping down into. So, um, for me, I'm like hanging onto the ledge. No, I don't want to. I'm too scared. Something bad's gonna happen, I'm clinging on for dear life. And then I drop down into the pit, right? Whatever, or what I think is the dark pit. And as soon as I let go, it's like, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to drop down into this 50-foot pit
And never
and my
get
feet
out.
just land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and never get out. And my feet just land really quickly. And then it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't so hard. Um, and we're talking it's been a while since I've surrendered like that, but we're talking this was for me years ago, but there's probably there are many people who are in that kind of a surrendering place right now, I'm sure. And I heard it last night of a very, very sweet man. It's a family I follow on YouTube, and the father is a preacher and he's having open heart surgery today. He's
Um,
never been in the hospital.
oh,
Never,
go for the
right?
good stuff,
Talk
kiddo.
about surrender.
Hmm.
And his gig was the only thing he was concerned about. He said, if it's my time, I mean, I'm going to be under anesthesia and then I'm out of here and all is great, but his tears were because of his family. He didn't want to leave his family. It was so sweet. Um, he's young, yeah, I mean, younger than I am. And it was, so but you could see it on his face that it's like, I'm handing it over. I'm okay. I'm okay. I can put my hands into, I can jump down the into the pit kind of thing. And the pit is not always a bad thing. It's, for him, it's surrendering himself to a team of professionals to go to work. So,
But and it's also surrendering himself to that if the greater forces and guides and that he has, that connection he has with the larger force, larger what you can call divine forces, that he says they know they will support me
mhm,
in the surgery, they will support me if I live or if I die. But I'm in alignment, attunement, oneness with them, that they'll be taken care of.
yeah.
And I think so many times in our human lives, and particularly in the United States, we think we have to do it all by ourselves. Pull up your own
Mhm.
bootstraps, right? That's the thing. But that's not what it's like to be a human. I think the gift of humanity is community. One with another
Yeah,
in the field is
yeah.
the most powerful tool I believe we have. Liz and I were on a class this week, and they're running the templates. And it was amazing that there was a thread, like creativity threaded through some and prosperity threaded through some, but it was just everything. It felt like everything got magnified about what people want as far as being generative and being really connected with each other. Now, this is a Zoom call, guys. This is not like this is now. And so we're doing this connection with each other. And three of them are in Europe. One of them's in California. Liz is in California. I'm in Colorado, but we had the moment because we were doing it together. And that's actually why Liz and I do a lot of calls, is because we know that one with another is the most powerful field to help us move into each person's next greater whole. And if we are each moving into our next greater whole, wow, that makes the future really juicy and really powerful. And we thank you for listening to this, because as you listen to it, you are one with us, right? And everything that each of us hopes for and craves in the world, I think is supported by being one with another in the field. I just don't, it can't be any other way. So,
Wondering if you can see anything around this alchemy that happens. We've been talking about our own individual situations. And yes, we talked about my situation where there are a lot of people that will be impacted. But um, when we're sitting together and we're in a situation together, let's say several people, can you see anything? Is there anything for you around the alchemy that might occur that could be different? Because I'm
Oh,
just curious, that could be different when there's a larger group of people, versus when when I was sitting in my situation, you were sitting in your memory of your son in the moment by ourselves and then experiencing this alchemy. So I'm just curious about that. I
okay.
might have a comment on that. I have to think about it for a second.
One of
Sure.
the, okay. Unknown caller. Oh, sorry. Unknown caller. Um, maybe that is. I like it. Unknown caller. Um,
Maybe it's creation answering.
yeah, that's what I thought. I thought, well, that's interesting that came up at that point in time. And it might be that when my sense of it is that when each of us is working on our own present or present situation, whether it's historic memory coming back to that disturbs us, or a present situation that we're trying to resolve, there's an energy with this in us that gets I don't want to use the term agitated because it has kind of a negative connotation, but shooken up. And I think that energy on our own helps us kind of get ready for the moment, put it that way. Like
Mhm.
I've taken on a new leadership position and I had to lead a group, that the larger group. And I noticed that I had a lot of this almost kinetic energy. And when I connected with the people that are on my, we can call advisory board, then all of a sudden they took on they originated what they thought would be really make the meeting better, and everything went whoosh. So I didn't have to say in the the word is still agitation, so it must be like a boiling pot of water of energy, to think that it was on my shoulders to lead that larger resident group. Instead, they all took a piece of what needed to happen. And
Mm.
so you had a cohesive, coherent group leading. The group actually led the meeting in that way, if you think about the energy of it. So let's say in that situation, because they were interconnected and had the advisory group, the smaller group, my advisory group, that there was a dynamic moving in them. And I didn't know what they were doing. One gal wanted to make a meal for the people. So everybody else shifted what they were doing to make sure that meal was a success. And I didn't necessarily know they were doing it. And I think that's what goes on when, let's say, we write our templates together. If I sit and I'm writing, yeah, okay. And you know how you are when you read your body's phrase, right? It's like, whoa, I didn't know that I had that in me. And you do, but we don't often in our everyday life access the deeper wisdom, the knowing, the connections with it, with creation. But we do when we write a creation exercise. In this case, there's a matrix already established in that small group. And I think we've been met, what, like 4 times, something like that. So they've
Mm.
already established it through their commitment and our commitment to. So when they write it, they know they are also in this. And I keep getting this feeling of back and forth pulsing from the different matrix points, different people. And they don't do it consciously, but what on the most part, we as human beings don't think about how we are interconnected with others and the impact on others. we think we're alone or it's just me. And I mean, I used to teach at daycare center years and years ago. And there was one gal who literally came in with a cloud over her head. And when she entered the facility, everybody noticed it. And then everybody went, whoa, okay, don't
Mm.
interconnect with her because you might get sucked into the gray cloud that she was. And that's an awareness on the staff and my part. And it isn't about working with, it was to try to avoid. And so when we're in these groups together where we work on writing the templates together or on packing them together, we have entered into an agreement of mutual purpose. And when we agree on that, and I really do think it's individual choice. It's not like everybody in the field is in this writing group. So the some have chosen individually to say, I'm going to run the templates. And in that, they have made a commitment to be part of a matrix. So whether doesn't it being part of an energetic matrix allows you to write your template when you're going to write it and observe it from your own perspective. And you're in this back and forth pulsing that I feel. And so it's really cool to watch that. Then everything that you're doing around writing and observing are part of a pulsing environment. And because that, I think we go deeper.
Yeah.
Like I wrote one, it was a craving what, and it was almost the entire 99.9% imaginal. In other words, I'd see vision, some imaginary vision, and I'd write it in. And when I use imaginary phrases, I know that they're entrance to something that I just can't formulate yet. And that creation and the rest of the world know that. Creation knows it. So when I write, I'll just make one up, unicorns galloping down my street, spreading gold into everybody's heart. I know something happens. I don't have to know what that has to do with the phrase I wrote, but I know that something happens. And it's sort of like my idea about the alchemical. There's an alchemical process that is always going on in our cravings and our observings. And when we allow that, again, it goes back to the word allowing, that there can be this energetic relationship. Whether I am in my own writing, so I know that I'm craving, and this one it was craving financial prosperity. What does that have to do with unicorns running down the street? It doesn't, not in our little logical brain. But if I trust, I allow that there is something in that will direct me to my treasure, to the answers that I seek, to the world that I crave. By allowing it and opening up to the possibilities exist that something will occur in my future that I cannot language today or even imagine. Maybe I'm going to win the lottery. But it's a beautiful thing. And you all can feel it when you drop into allowing that you have this support system that they know what you want and that you're moving into your own paradise. And so these dynamic, and again, I guess that picture that I have, uh, you know, I think in this my craving has its place now, right? And the etheric alchemical elements that came out of that craving, I think go into the tractor beam. towards paradise.
Mm.
I like the tractor, obviously. That's
Yeah, I know. I love
my
that.
latest symbol. But what do you think? Did that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, that did. And what I got from that, what what I'm taking from that is I saw a vision or a picture of how, yes, the alchemy, um, well, first of all, I'll say not all of you watching this write creation exercises. Um, so I'll kind of try and say it two different ways. So the first way is for those of us who do write them. When you were talking about the one that you've written recently, um, it's like, yeah, we create our own alchemy in within our own systems that actually pulses outside of our systems into the energetic that surrounds us, which is, in metaphysical terms, is our aura, so to speak. That's what it's called. I see it as, I don't necessarily like to use that term. I just, um, it's my energetic frequency that surrounds me. And then you carried that into that group that you were talking about. So that alchemy carried with you. The alchemy that's created when we're writing these exercises, it it gets infused and it also ripples out into the universe. And we carry that in our energetic frequency matrix that's around us. And so you carried that into that group. And we don't know what that formula is that happens when we go out into a group. And we've said in the field of Tantra, I am that, and where I am, that is, right? And so that's the alchemy. But then you took that into that group dynamic, and there wasn't, I could see the little elements, alchemical elements coming from the group. So there was a melding there. Okay, so now let's go to a person who hasn't necessarily written the exercises. And I would say anyone who comes here and who's curious, you have your own systems of getting access and building building new realities from where you sit. We each are very individual. I know there are groups all over the planet that are doing this kind of work in their own way. For us here in the field of Tantra, our way is to generate the alchemy through writing um, creation exercises. So whatever, whether it be meditation or a ritual that you do with a group, or whatever practice you have, even, writing daily, whatever, um, that gets infused into your system, becomes part of the all that you are, and you carry that out to wherever you go. And so for us today, and I can see we're coming to the, more to the end of our time. For us today, it's then, can we now allow uh, the thought into our system that all of what we're being is an alchemy, and that whatever comes in to challenge us, um, that becomes part of that, the beautiful dance, that beautiful alchemy that we are. Can we allow and open ourselves up into um, the non-human aspects of that? Really, that's just the simple question today. Can we allow it? Can we accept? I learned this part in Newfield, and it was the best. Can we accept that we aren't in control of every little ounce of everything that happens, quote, to us? Um, and can we accept that, I know people ad nauseum don't like hearing everything happens for a reason. Can we accept that the everything happening is part of part of um, this pathway, and open up to something more than just a body sitting on the planet, I
Mhm.
guess. Just a physical body sitting on the planet. I've been really interested in following a woman who left the planet and then it wasn't her time and came back. And how she was counseled when she was away, just go live your life. Go live your life to the best, to the best of your ability. You will have lessons that you're going to learn. Just be with that. It's like it's almost black and white in a way. This acceptance of of this alchemy that we've been talking about today. To me, that's from where I sit. You don't have to accept anything we've said today. It's,
We're just kind of giving you our perspectives of what we're coming
yeah,
to experience and comprehend about this larger picture that we're all in. And there's so much that we don't know, and so much that we can contribute to, but it's not in a conscious contribution. It's really, we're always working to the greater whole for all humanity. At least that would be my hope. And we're hoping for a greater whole for ourselves and our families. And everything, if we do that, then that's your tractor beam,
yep,
right?
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's wonderful. I mean, when I think of my family and friends and all of us headed towards the future that we crave for humanity, I know we're okay. I know we're going to be fine. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy in this transition, but I know we're okay. So, thank you very
Mhm.
much for spending time listening to us do our cognitive thing and connecting to our own sentience and connecting to our greater desire for humanity. And have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later.
Take care.